Good morning, Laker Nation. It's your boy DtLF back with another video, man. And in this one, just basically gonna break down last night's draft, plus cover some, newfound rumors, Kyrie Irving related and all that good stuff, man. But how you guys feeling after the draft yesterday? We select Max Christie, right, out of Michigan State with our 35th overall pick in the draft. 19-year-old, 6'6" guard, decent wingspan. Now, here's somebody who he still has a lot of room for growth. Obviously, he didn't shoot the best in college, 31.7% from the 3-point line. He only averaged 9.3 points and 3.5 rebounds. However, it was reported that this was a unanimous decision by our Lakers, right? So that means they saw something in this kid. Not to mention that Max Christie was a five-star recruit out of high school. He is a prototypical combo guard with some good size and potential to become a 3-and-D guard in this league, maybe even a wing if he continues to grow. Who knows? But I think it's interesting that we went young instead of experienced, and then Rob Pelinka was able to elaborate on that by saying that the Lakers are getting younger, right? Not only that, but I thought the Lakers really aced the free agency period of this draft because we got a couple of really good prospects. Obviously, listen, we got Vanderbilt guard Scottie Pippen Jr., who agreed to a two-way contract with the Lakers, right? Scottie Pippen Jr. Now, here's the thing about Scottie Pippen Jr. is that he plays extremely hard. He can shoot the three, and he seems like he would fit the schemes of Darvin Ham, right? Now, we also signed Sharif O'Neal, who agreed to play with the Summer League team. Now, he's more of a question mark. He's more of a prospect, right? We'll see if he can, if he can potentially impress. But he is 6'11". You can't teach that. And we were looking for size. But I think most notably out of everybody we signed in free agency, Syracuse sharpshooter Cole Swider. All right. He agreed to a two-way contract with the Lakers. He was ecstatic. And he's somebody who I think has a real shot at cracking the roster. Now, obviously, right now he's a two-way contract. But Swider has some good size on him. He reminds me a little bit of Kyle Kuzma. Now, obviously, this guy's more of a sharpshooter in college. Some true scoring, 47.3 3-point shooting on 5.1 attempts per game. So he's no joke the way he can space the floor. Not to mention he was the only player that the Lakers worked out twice during the draft workout. So I'm excited to see him as well. And then to the Summer League roster, the Lakers get Fabian White Jr., who I think has potential to become a 3-and-D forward. He's 6'8". I definitely like him. If you haven't checked out his highlights, go ahead and check him out. But he averaged about 12.5 points, 5.7 rebounds, and then assists shooting 37% from three. So that could be – and there's going to be plenty of open roster spots and chances, opportunities for these guys to make one of the two teams, either the South Bay Lakers team or the real Lakers team. I think this guy might have a shot if he impresses in Summer League. And then you got R.J. Cole, the point guard out of UConn, who averaged 15.8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Listen, the Lakers, they brought a nice little Summer League team together. And let's see who can, impress us. Who's going to pass the eye test? The California Classic officially starts July the 2nd. So mark your calendars. I will be covering pre and post game for those two games. And then we'll go into the Summer League in Vegas, which I think should start around July 7th or 8th. So definitely covering everything from end to end. But all in all, guys, I believe that the Lakers had a pretty nice draft night, especially considering the fact that we came in to the night, right, without a draft pick, and we bought one that morning, and we were able to make the most of it. Look, we got a young rook, right, 19 years of age, 6'6", with potential to keep growing. And, he's a project, but you never know. Some of these kids turn the corner quick. And Max Christie, right? Again, just to recap, Scottie Pippen Jr. on a two-way contract. We'll see what he turns into. And then Sharif O'Neal, the son of legendary Shaq. Both sons of legends, man. So that these kids want to prove themselves. They got a chip on their shoulder because anytime you're in your father's Hall of Fame shadow, you really have to step outside of that and make a name for yourself. Just ask Seth Curry, who had to be in his father's and his big brother's shadow, right? It must have been hard to step out of that and make a name for himself. So, yeah, imagine these kids, man. Shaq is your dad. Whew, and he played for this franchise. You got a lot to prove, young man, but I'm rooting for him. The Scottie Pippen Jr., same thing. Scottie Pippen, you talking about the best Robin in the league, historically probably ever. that's some big shoes to fill. But I am extremely excited for the summer league. Who do you guys think will stand out? Who do you guys like from these acquisitions, these undrafted free agents? Now, I was bummed out that we didn't get a couple of players. Obviously, one of them was Johnny Juzang. Man, he signed a 2-way contract with the Utah Jazz, so I was a little bummed out about that and stuff like that. But who knows? Sometimes these players get cut and stuff. They end up finding a way back onto the Lakers. The Scottie Pippen Jr. is nice. Also, I don't think the Lakers got him just because of the name. He's actually a decent player. I like him. He definitely has the potential to be a nice defensive guard for sure. And he has a nice stroke from beyond the arc. So, yeah, look. But again, he's going to have to prove himself because there's some roster spots available up for grabs. And right now he currently has the 2-way Lakers contract, so they must really like him. However, remember, last year during Summer League, that 2-way contract was shifted around from player to player. So if you don't impress, they'll probably give your opportunity to somebody else. And then if somebody really impresses like Austin Reeves did last year, then that might actually earn the opportunity to have a real roster spot. So really, really rooting for these kids. He's a Fabian White Jr. I'm excited to see him as well. I mean, he has good size. He can knock down the three, and he's a defender. So, yeah, I want to see Fabian White Jr. as well. But the one I'm most excited for, obviously, our 35th pick, right? Max Christie. But besides him, Shaq's son. I really want to see this raw prospect get heavy minutes in Summer League and get a chance to really showcase to see if he's a unicorn. What, like 6'11", you can't teach that again. Also, Cole Swider, man. Pure shooting stroke. We needed that. He also has some good size on him. Reminds me, like I said, body-wise and the way he finishes around the basket reminds me a little bit of Kyle Kuzma. Now, obviously, he's a different player. He could end up being like a Ryan Anderson type or whatever. But anything that's formidable and, can get you minutes at that position would be great. Any more signings as of right now? No. I just basically announced all of them from what I've read. But if we get updated, then we will update you as well. Now, somebody asked when the stream started, but I need to get all this draft stuff off of my chest. If Kyrie Irving was a realistic option for the Lakers, like if that's realistically could happen. Yes, it can. Matter of fact, The Athletic is reporting Kyrie Irving in the Lakers chatter is somewhat substantive, right? He said, you got people within the league actually thinking, man, I think it might find a way to get back with LeBron. So that is legit, man. That people early thought it was posturing. And again, Kyrie could always bust a U-turn and just sign with the Nets if he changes his mind because he's very unpredictable. But as of right now, it's looking like he has 1 foot out the door. And also Shams reported earlier this morning, right? According to multiple people that have been letting me know. Shams was saying that the Lakers are the main team interested outside of the Nets in Kyrie. So it looks like the Knicks have set their heart on Jalen Brunson. The Clippers are not really a factor. And the Miami Heat are, I don't know if they're interested or not. But, yeah, that's the rumor, guys. Any ties to Doug Christie? I don't think so, no. I don't think it correlates there, man. Hey, Dan, Sharif O'Neal only averaged like 2 points a game at LSU. If you guys just look at the stats, that's something, right? But he is a project. This is why he didn't get drafted. But the fact that he averaged 2 points, you have to remember, he came off of heart surgery. He wasn't getting major minutes. Look at his minutes average. He didn't get a lot of touches in college, neither at LSU or when he transferred. But that doesn't mean maybe he came out early in the draft. He's only 19 years of age. But that doesn't mean that he can't pan out down the road, right? Let's just say best case scenario for me for Shaq's son is he really improves. He's blocking shots at Summer League. He's getting after it. He's finishing in transition. He's knocking down the occasional jump shot here and there. And then he maybe gets one of these 2-way contracts, and then he kills it during training camp, and he eventually finds his way onto the roster. That would be such a great story. But the likelihood of that happening is very slim. He really needs to impress. So that's why I'm really cheering for the kid, of course. But shout out to the Lakers for giving Shaq's son an opportunity. Shout out to them, man. I'm sure that he called in the favor or whatever, but look, man, it's the least we can do for the son of the legendary Shaquille O'Neal, the big diesel, Shaqtus Galactus. He said, can we trade AD for KD? Hypothetically, it could happen. The likelihood of that is slim to none. Again, I think they're going to try to hold on to KD at all costs. They might try to show him, hey, we can build around you even without Kyrie. But it's still early. I mean, Kyrie could still decide to bust a U-turn and go back to the Brooklyn in the end. They could end up budging and giving him the contract he wants in the end. Or if this continues to progress, see, day by day, I feel like the chances of us landing Kyrie Irving continue to increase. Yesterday, I said I was 50-50. It started at 30%. Then yesterday, I said it was still 50-50. Today, I'm at 55%. I feel like there's a really good chance we land Kyrie Irving. Unless, and again, nothing's official till it's official. So he could always change his mind and go back. So you said, would you want to keep Russ for 1 year or give Kyrie a 5-year max deal? Well, he's not eligible for a 5-year max deal because we don't own his bird rights. The most you can give him, I think, is like a 3 or 4 year deal. And yes, I would definitely. I'm okay with Russ playing out his final year if we can't strike a trade. I'm cool with that because at the end of the day, we'll get cap flexibility next summer, and there's always a chance that Kyrie Irving plays out his final year in Brooklyn and then leaves as a free agent. And yes, I would definitely give him a 4-year deal if he wanted to come here. Yeah, we cannot max Kyrie. We don't have his bird rights. He said, I remember he had surgery for something. Is he good health-wise? Yeah, he had heart surgery, but he's good to go. He said he feels good. He's ready to have a basketball career. And the one thing that stood out for me with Sharif is his mentality. He mentioned during his post-workout interview that his dad was against him, coming out in the draft. He wanted him to stay in school. But, he loves the game of basketball. And he feels this is his dream, so he's going to pursue it. It's refreshing to see that somebody can think outside the box and think for themselves, right? Because we had the Lonzo Balls who had LeVar over him telling him how to think and stuff, and eventually he broke free from that and he became a young man, right? But here you have this undrafted young kid who's been through so much adversity and is actually standing on his own 2 feet and making his own decision. You gotta have nothing but love and respect for that. Because I wish nothing but the best for Sharif O'Neal. I would love to see him succeed, especially in the purple and gold. As far as Anthony Davis goes, I am sick and tired of him damaged goods we need to get rid of. Agree to disagree. I agree with the first part, definitely. Would love to see Sharif make a career out of himself. But as far as Anthony Davis, I think people don't realize that, yeah, he's been injured the last 2 years, but the schedule has not favored the Lakers. We went straight from the championship in the bubble to basically no off season, and that leaks into the next season, and that leaks into the next season. This is the first time he actually gets a cool 3 to 4 months of rest, 5 really, with the how limited he played during the season. So I think he's going to be ready to go, and I think a lot of people are going to change their mind during the season. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Now it could be me who ends up changing my mind if Anthony Davis ends up having another poor season, then I will definitely jump on board with y'all and saying, well, maybe it is time to trade him, get maximum value in return. But I don't know, man. I truly believe in him. He's showed us that he can help lead to a championship before. I think he can do it again. It's like you showed it to me once, show it to me twice. Appreciate you, Tony. He said, I've already come to the realization that Anthony Davis will never be healthy. Nah, bro, you don't have a crystal ball. You can't say that. That's crazy talk. That's like, usually people that say stuff like that, and not all the time, I'm not trying to accuse you of this, but usually people that say stuff like that are not patient, right? They're not patient. Let's be real. We need to have patience. The quick schedule turnaround really screwed us over. But I don't think that he's not going to be good for the rest of their career. He's only 28. You guys are talking like he's, 33, 34. Then maybe have a concern for it because he's getting up there in age. But nah, bro, he's only 28, and he's still in the prime of his basketball career. You'd be making a huge mistake if you trade him for the sake of just trading him, and you don't get the package you deserve in return. You don't understand why not everybody's cut from the same cloth and can be a basketball GM, because you really have to have a lot of patience and analyze every single route and option. And you can't be like fans. We fans are impatient, right? We want immediate bandages. But you can't put a bandage on a gunshot wound because it's gonna you're gonna end up bleeding out later. So this is what I mean by not just trading AD to trade him. The only ways I can see him getting traded is, like I said, if he requests a trade or if he gets injured again all season long and he's out again, then I will agree that he's too fragile. But as of right now, he still has the benefit of doubt on my part. Whether we agree or disagree, that's fine. But I'm saying we got to be patient because you don't want to make a deal just to make a deal. He said Kyrie is on the way. I feel it too, man. I feel it too, but I don't want to get too excited till it's official. So I'm not trying to cover too much about him right now. Right now, we're talking about the draft picks, man. We're talking about the draft picks. Obviously, we get Max Christie with the 35th pick, 6'6" guard, Michigan State. You see what old boy Draymond Green said about him. Called him a future All-Star. We get Scottie Pippen Jr. on a two-way contract. We get Sharif O'Neal. We get Cole Swider, who's a big man who can space the floor, stretch 4 or a 3 potentially. We get 6'8" forward Fabian White Jr. and we get RJ Cole in the summer league squad. So watch out for those, and let's see who really stands out. Like I said, last year, Austin Reeves, I told you guys, all it took was a couple of games, and I said, this is the kid right here. He's head and shoulders above the rest right now. He's been the most impressive. I wouldn't even be shocked if he cracks the rotation on the Lakers, and that's exactly what ended up happening. He said, love the picks so far. He said, please don't trade Max Christie. Kid's got potential. See, what the Lakers are trying to do right now, and you got to love it because we're trying to get with the program with the times. You see what everybody is – see, the blueprint is always a championship team. And everybody sees what the Warriors are doing. They're drafting extremely well, and they're, obviously they're competing for titles. You can do both. You have to walk a fine line, and obviously there will be trade opportunities that you're going to have to decide if it's worth giving up your future for. But you can do both, and I think that's what the Lakers have finally learned. Hey, we can hold on to some of these young guys, develop them properly, give them time. Don't let them go too soon, and then compete for titles at the same time. And this is why that draft pick made sense to me, that Max Christie draft pick, because he has 19. Yes, he's an extremely raw prospect, but some players their game translates a lot better to the NBA than to college. He said, I really want AD to shut people up because he is really good when he plays, but the problem is he barely played the last 2 seasons. He has had injury problems, and so I understand your guys' cause for concern. However, to write him off and say he'll never be good again, I think that's a little melodramatic. We can't say stuff like that. At least I hope not. But we'll see. This year's going to tell a lot about his future with LA. If the Lakers, this is the beautiful thing about winning. If the Lakers win a championship, right, and he is a major factor once again, just like in the bubble, all of this talk about Anthony Davis should get traded is going to magically disappear, and you're going to see the love start raining in. So winning cures everything, and that's the goal right there. Dan was good. I was watching Christie, and he weak AF. He would be a bench warmer. Can get over a pick. Nah, bro, you tripping. You can't base a player's career off of a couple of highlights. Remember, he was a 5-star recruit in high school. He's not weak AF. There's a reason he got drafted. There's a reason the Lakers paid millions for that draft pick and drafted that kid. He was actually projected to be a late first rounder, early second rounder, like in the 29 to 31 range. So he slipped down a little bit. And the Lakers, it was a unanimous decision. So I'll trust their scouting. Who again they've been proven. I don't understand why a lot of I don't know if you're Laker fans or player fans, but I understand why a lot of fans question our scouting department when they have aced it year after year after year, even all the way to last year. We didn't even have a draft pick last year, and boom, So yeah, we can't call any player weak AF, bro, because at the end of the day, he might be raw and underdeveloped, but what if he ends up being the next Kevin Martin or the next Klay Thompson or the next Tyrese Maxey? We just don't know. And I'm never going to write off a young talented player without seeing what he's got on the hardwood first for at least a couple of years. So imagine back then when we drafted Andrew Bynum, he was extremely skinny and weak. And imagine if you guys were GMs, right? You guys that like to write off young players, and you trade this guy, and he ends up putting on that muscle later on, and he becomes one of the top centers in the league, which he did when he was healthy, and he helps another team win championships. Nah, bro. See, this is why you can't have those kind of like quick takes off of YouTube videos. We're no scouts. We can do our best, but professional scouts, their job is to scout these players throughout the year, watch their whole body of work, their whole career, and say, okay, 5-star recruit, didn't have the best year in college, but he can definitely bounce back in the NBA. because he has all the tools. 6'6" guard, prototypical for the modern day NBA. And so we'll go from there. But yeah, listen. Let's not let the casuals fool you with the trash talk. Yeah, it might not have been the player you wanted or the player I wanted, but I told you guys, let's come in here with an open mind because the Lakers have done this historically. Again, we didn't know who Kyle Kuzma was out of the draft unless you watch college ball heavy. Larry Nance Jr. A lot of people weren't familiar with him. So we've been through this before. Sharif O'Neal will be a blessing in disguise. He is going to ball in the G League. I hope so, brother. He said, Lakers, if this comes true, I'm the one who said it. If not, clown me. That's funny. He said, I'm not worried about AD. I'm curious, Dan. You think Melo is coming back? I heard there was some competition for Carmelo Anthony as far as the open market. He's going to have some suitors. I heard the Knicks were extremely interested in him. He could end up, ending up his career over there in New York, obviously. He loves it there. So yeah, who knows? It's still too early for free agency when we're talking about a potential Kyrie trade. So I have no idea who the Lakers are keening in on as of right now. However, this draft aftermath gives me hope that the Lakers will, start building towards the future and at the same time compete for titles. I hope we can do it both. If we play our cards right, and if these draft picks end up working out, then and here's the cool part, man. Here's the real cool part. People thought we were screwed after the Anthony Davis trade. We have 6 out of the next 7 years first-round picks. Look it up. We have 6 out of the next 7, meaning we only owe one more pick to the Pelicans, and they get to decide if it's during 2025 or next year's draft. They get to decide, right? Or if it's not yet, 2024 or 2025. So we only owe them one more pick, and that's it. And so I think it's interesting because people thought we were done for. Nah, bro, we got 2026, we got 2028, 2029, and beyond, and next year as well. So and the best part is that we were still able to get some young, talented players, undrafted or unsigned, guys like Stanley Johnson, obviously Austin Reeves, guys like that without having draft picks. So I think the Lakers have done an exceptional job in their scouting department of getting players that were throwaways for other franchises or just players that were overlooked in the draft. Yeah, we mostly got pick swaps to deal with, but the key here is that we'll still have draft picks and we'll continue to add. So there you go for all the doomsday scenario clowns that kept saying the Lakers didn't have a future and that the Anthony Davis trade wasn't worth it. Again, I do that trade all over again. Even though I love Brandon Ingram and I think he's going to be great, we got a championship out of it. You don't pass up championships. He said, Dan, will you be mad at the Lakers if they let go of Reeves like they did AC? I would be disappointed, but I won't be mad because it depends why they did it. If they did it because we needed to acquire another star player, yeah, I'm going to be hurt. But I get it, man. Sometimes some players are replaceable and some are not. But I still feel like Austin Reeves is going to be a part of our future, and I'm excited to see what he becomes. I love his passion for the game. That's my number one thing. Obviously, his basketball IQ and defensive prowess is there, but his passion for the game is exceptional, and you can't teach that. He said Westbrook got to have a better mindset. If he stays, yes, for sure. And we already heard the reports that there's been multiple meetings with Darvin Ham and the coaching staff, and that he's willing to buy in. So, I mean, this is all just in case he stays, which is good. You have to always prepare for worst case scenario. But I do believe the Lakers will try to get him off as much as they can. He said, I think the undrafted guy, Swider, might play more than anyone else we got yesterday. Could, because he's more seasoned. What is he, 22? So for sure he's more seasoned. But he still has to show out. I hope this new coaching staff is the type that just they don't go based off of experience, but they go based off of whoever's playing better at the time. Right? You got to reward good play, whether he's 19 or 22 or 24. Give the best player who's performing the best the peak opportunity so that they can spread their wings and do what they got to do. He said, asking a 34-year-old Russ to play defense now of all times. You never know, man. You'd be surprised what a good coaching staff can do. If they can get him to at least try on that end, then that'll be huge for us. But again, there's no guarantee he's on the roster. No guarantee. He said Austin Reeves point guard and Max Christie shooting guard for the future. Austin Reeves point guard. Now don't forget we still got THT, and I still want Malik Monk back. I like what Stanley Johnson is doing. He's still only 25. So we're already starting to build a nice young core, but we got to see who separates themselves from the pack and who's able to get the major minutes on a contending team. That's going to be the key right there. That's definitely got to be the key. Thanks, Liz. I appreciate you, Liz. God bless. He said, we need more shooters and defenders. That's for sure. Listen, this roster is nowhere near complete. That's why I said I really like Fabian White Jr., who's 6'8", forward, who could potentially become a 3-and-D guy. Now, he doesn't have a roster spot as of right now, but he is going to have an opportunity at Summer League to impress. If he could do that, then maybe we could talk later. He's 23? Okay, 23, 6'9", shot 41% from the field. Yeah, those are the type of players that I thought we were going to draft. So the fact that he went undrafted, worked out twice for the Lakers, he must have impressed us. I like him. I like him a lot. He could definitely become like a – what's his name? The one that used to play for the Magic, used to space the floor, shoot threes. Ryan. I remember his last name was Ryan, but I forgot his first name. I like Wenyen Gabriel too, DtLF. I forgot about Wenyen, of course. Wenyen is there as well, and he's definitely a workhorse. He's somebody who has a high motor, plays hard. Thank you for reminding me, Art of War. Absolutely. Now, Lakers haven't decided if they're going to pick up the option on him yet, but I'm pretty sure they're trying to figure all this trade stuff out first. I'd be shocked if we let him go after the solid season he had in the last quarter of the year when we picked him up. So, Ryan Anderson, thank you. Yes, Ryan Anderson. And you guys have great memory with names. I forget their names, but this Cole Swider kid could end up being like a Ryan Anderson. That's the ceiling I see for him. Maybe even better. Who knows? But the way he attacks the rim and everything, I got a little nostalgic when I saw him play because I was like, reminds me a little bit of Kuz, man. He's not the most athletic, but he could finish. But let's see what type of motor he has and if he can carve out a niche on this roster. As of right now, he has a 2-way contract with the Lakers, so they must have really liked what they saw. But remember, all last summer league, they were swapping out those 2-way contracts, giving them different players, trying to see if it motivates them. And we ended up with completely different players in this season with those 2-way contracts than we were in the summer league. So, could the LA Lakers do a trade with the Charlotte and the Nets to get Kyrie to LA? Yes, that's one that I had mentioned already. If the Brooklyn Nets are not interested in Russell Westbrook, we could always involve another team that might have some assets that might be interested in Russ. Now, we obviously would have to unload some assets as well, attach maybe a draft pick or two here and there, some second-round picks, maybe a first-rounder. But we have to make sure we get the absolute best deal available while keeping the most assets we can. Because if we do swing a trade for Kyrie, now that cap flexibility becomes even more tight, right? So they have to be diligent and intelligent at the same time, and every move we make has to be swift. Hey, he said, VA to LA, bro. Just sending some love. You're the best at what you do. And let's not judge the youngins before they take the court. I absolutely agree. Pyro, hey, I appreciate the love, man. Shout out to VA, bro. Yeah, look. We have to have a long leash for the young talent. That's how they develop. You would think Laker fans we would have learned our lesson by now, that we can't just write off players and call them trash, right? We've done it with, well, not we, but y'all. A lot of y'all have done it. Like I say, 50% of the fan base is very impatient, and they write off young talent since the moment we draft them. I still remember the nicknames y'all gave D'Angelo Russell when I used to defend him. D'Angelo Buslow. It's not even creative, but this is fact. This is what people were calling him. I remember they were calling Kuzma Amber Rose because he dyed his hair yellow. Brandon Ingram, they were making fun of him because he was too skinny, saying he was a bust, that he's no poor man's Kevin Durant, that he's more like Jimmy Bones and shit. Bro, I've been defending young talent since I came on this channel, and even before that in high school, and even like my whole life I've been defending young talent. That's how I know we Laker fans are very impatient. But you cannot have your cake and eat it too. If you want to develop young talent, you have to be patient with that young talent. I know a lot of Laker fans they've written off THT, and I still think he has a lot of potential. He's still only 21, right? a lot of potential. And who knows, with Darvin Ham, Phil Handy, and the rest of the coaching staff, these guys might actually reach their potential. So why not give them time? Let them make their mistakes during the regular season. The coaching staff will hold them accountable and not play them if they start stinking it up. Is up. That's on the coach. That's not on the young players. Young players have to learn through trial and error, and they have to get some run. So let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. Let's give these young kids a long leash and let them grow. Let them grow. Yeah, I'm off. I'm a big fan of the youth, the young talent. This is a young man's game. The modern day NBA. You see what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did. Got their team all the way to the finals. That's the new blueprint. So let's allow these young kids to flourish and let's not be like the trolls and start calling them names just because they had a couple bad games early in their career. My man said, if THT is trash, why do the Raps want him? He's not trash. He's definitely not trash. And I just felt like he was misutilized under Frank Vogel's system and his schemes. And it really, people don't understand that not only the way you utilize them, but what combinations you put on the floor really impact the player. For example, if you're out here playing with Rondo and LeBron, how many touches you expect this cat to have, right? He's much better with the ball in his hands. So I would have brought him in off the bench as a primary point guard, put the ball in his hands and let him succeed, let him flourish, let him get a feel for the game. Of course, he has to work on his off-ball skills in the offseason. He has to work on the catching and shooting if he wants to be on the court in major minutes. But he's still young. He has time, right? He said realistic center pickup. There's a lot, man. There's a lot, but we're not going to get into that till free agency rolls around. Right now, I want to talk about this draft process. You guys know I would love a Mo Bamba type, even though there's been rumors that his work ethic isn't that great, but to be determined. Mitchell Robinson would be great, but we might have to settle for a Hassan Whiteside, a Dwight Howard. We might have to settle for more realistic options. We'll see. We'll see how our situation goes. Because you already know if Masai Ujiri wants you, you got talent. He's the best GM in the game. Facts. And I see young talent as well. And I can tell you right now that if THC gets traded, he will flourish elsewhere. And so, I don't want to see that. The only way I'm okay with that happening is if it was a trade that helped our roster immediately right now, and we got a player that fit the current schemes right now, like a Cam Reddish 3-and-D type prospect, somebody like that, then okay, I'm cool with that. But if we're just going to trade him just to trade him because the fans think he's trash, then that's a no-go. No, sir. Damian Jones is great. Damian Jones is nice. He's a decent role player. I'm not sure I want him starting, though, but I would not mind having him off the bench playing 15 to 20 minutes a night. He said Frank Vogel should have been signed as a defensive coach only. Nah, I don't want Vogel on this team no more. No, sir. But I do agree that he would have been much better as an assistant defensively, offensively, and rotations-wise. He was bad. Bad. Like he played so many puzzling rotations between last year and this year that I was just like wondering, like, how did this man still keep in his job? Devontae Kaycock, I'm not a big fan of him. I feel like he's already reached his peak. The reason why, because he's a tweener, meaning he's 6'5", 6'6", and he plays power forward. Can't really space the floor consistently. He can knock down streaky shots here and there. And he's too much of a brute. Reminds me of an extremely poor man, Julius Randle. More like closer to Tyreek Black, but maybe a little more skilled than him. So somewhere in between that. No, thank you. He said, what about Thomas Bryant? Now, there's a name that if we can somehow pull that off, man, I like his passion, his motor, can space the floor. And he's basically a 7-footer, even though he's like 6'10". But I like the way he plays, man. I really do. And he was looking extremely good for Washington before he went through his injury. So, yeah, I would like a Thomas Bryant. Yeah, I think I spoke about him in a separate video and how he would be one of my sleeper signings this offseason. Remember, last year, I gave you guys Malik Monk. I said whoever signs him is going to be a huge winner, and it ended up being our Lakers, and I was so happy about it. But, yeah, Thomas Bryant is that guy this season that if we get him and he's healthy, yeah, he would be something legit for the Lakers. And he still fits the youth movement that we're trying to build here in Los Angeles moving forward. He said Lonzo Ball or Jello? Wait, what? I mean, I still always have love for Lonzo Ball because he was a nice defensive player who can play, make, facilitate, and even though he's a streaky shooter, his form has gotten better over the years. Yeah, I would not mind having him back or even Kuzma back. People were taking Kuzma for granted, and this man really showed he was missed. I mean, we needed a defensive big body like him, a wing like him who can get out and transition. He was a streaky scorer, but when he was on, man, he hits a bunch of clutch buckets for the Lakers throughout his years here. So I would love to have a player like him back. I wouldn't mind KCP at all back. Obviously, we missed him as well. Caruso, clearly, guys like that. But sometimes, you don't realize what you have till you lose it. And I always knew Kuzma was a special part of the team who sacrificed numbers, um, and he would help us out. It's just listen. One thing I notice about our impatient fan base is that every year we need to have a scapegoat. Every year we need to have a scapegoat, and it just so happened that he was that. Him and Dennis Schroeder were the scapegoats that year, when in reality we had bigger problems on the whole entire roster, and the coaching was mid, right? He said LiAngelo Ball, he's a sniper. I like his shooting abilities. There's still question marks about his athleticism and speed and ability to keep up with elite offensive players at the next level, defensive wise. But I do like him for sure. I like him, and I hope he gets an opportunity somewhere. He said Trevor Lane just tweeted that Dwight would have to start. Am I okay with that? Um, we just we don't want to go into the season demanding stuff, because that's not the right attitude to have. It reminds me of the year um when Dennis Schroeder didn't want to come off the bench, and he ended up having an atrocious year. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm okay with that, especially at Dwight's age. He's declining, and I think I prefer him off the bench better. However, if we don't have a better big man than Dwight, then he's a formidable big man who can start. The only problem with Dwight starting has always been that he gets himself in foul trouble. Right? He gets a lot of ticky-tack foul calls against him, and then some boneheaded plays where he bites on fakes and stuff like that. So that's the only concern about him starting. That's why I do prefer him off the bench playing major minutes. But yeah, I don't want any player to come in here demanding anything. I want them to trust in the coaching staff and allow them to decide who starts and who finishes and all that. He said the whole country is behind Kai Soto. Yeah, I'm not even shocked he didn't get drafted. He's a raw prospect, but somebody could definitely use him, and I wouldn't mind if the Lakers gave him a summer league invitation for sure. But again, he wasn't a priority. Some people were even saying to pick him with a 35th pick. He's 7'3". He has nice size, but the speed of the how can I say this? The lateral quickness is a real concern for a big body like that, because they can get blown by easily in today's modern day NBA, and everybody can shoot threes nowadays. So, that could become a problem. And I'm sure that if they're going to pursue a big, they're going to want somebody who can defend 1 through 5 and be more mobile than maybe somebody like a Kai Soto. But I wouldn't mind giving him a look. Maybe he could play the Boban Marjanovic role for somebody in a roster, right? Which means he's just a big body you throw out occasionally when you need a big body out there. So that could happen. But yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath for that one. Are the Lakers keeping Sharif O'Neal? That is not up to me, man. They're going to have to see what he has. If he impresses during Summer League, then there's an opportunity that he'll get invited to the G League team and then move from there. But there's a slim chance of it happening. Even though there's plenty of roster spots, I expect most of those to go to NBA free agents with experience, and then some to the youth, right? So maybe I say out of this Summer League team, I expect maybe 2 to 3 players max to be signed to the actual roster or the two-way players teams. And what I mean by that is obviously Max Christie, most likely he's going to be on board. So that's 1 already. And then 2 of the two-way G League teams. I'd be shocked if there's a 4th piece who really impresses and actually earns an actual roster spot. Because remember, you can only have 2 two-way contracts, and right now they're taken up. So somebody would really have to impress to be that guy, besides obviously Max Christie, who's young and he seems to be a project type. But that's a good question, man. That's a good question. I wonder if they're going to keep him. You say you're gonna go to Summer League, Dan? I will not be going to Summer League. I've been extremely busy, and then gonna be doing some Uber Eats while the cash flow picks up back on this channel during the regular season. So I got to pay the bills. However, I will be covering Summer League with y'all on this here very channel, man. So keep it locked. He said, "Hey Dan, I feel like they didn't listen to Frank. The energy will change with him. The players from the start of the season. Absolutely, Bridget. And the reason they didn't listen to Frank Vogel, I believe, is because he's not a commander. He's not a chief. You know, he's not somebody who can command respect in that locker room. So that's partially on his fault. I do understand that always dealing with egos and superstar talent is extremely hard, but I don't make the rules. You have to be able to do this in the city of Los Angeles to be a long-term coach, for sure. Even Phil Jackson had his ways, right? He would, the Zen master, he would stir up the pot, let them deal with it on their own, let them figure it out, and then he would have that woosah moment where he would give them a book each to read individually, and they would meditate and do stuff like that. So every coach has his own tactics, but you have to have a coach that can do that. And that's unfortunate that Frank couldn't. But it is what it is. Listen, the first year, the bubble year, we had Jason Kidd. People forget that, and a bunch of good assistant coaches that really helped them out in that locker room. So that's going to be a wrap for me, guys. I just wanted to basically recap yesterday's draft. We talked a little bit about Kyrie. We talked about some potential prospects here and there. So if there's anything I missed, leave it in the comment section. And if I get a chance, I'll definitely try to answer your question. If not, I will see you guys as soon as we get some more news. Eye emojis, man, are out because that Kyrie situation, it continues. Listen, it's at the point where it's getting ready to boil over. So I can't wait to see what solution is going to happen there. That way we either move on with him or without him, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Shout out to my sponsor, Prize Picks. Definitely want to be thankful for everything they've done for me. If you guys haven't checked them out, any sport opportunity, any sort of sport you guys like, you can always check it out, man. Promo code DtLF. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one, man.